Tai Lopez was right? Lately, the internet world has been abuzz with the lawsuit of Tai Lopez and retail e-commerce ventures. This is alleged by the SEC as a giant Ponzi scheme. But I'm going to argue that he was right about one thing. And before you get all excited thinking I'm jumping on the bandwagon of entrepreneurs saying that Tai Lopez is right, let me just put your mind at ease, because 2 years ago I made this video showing this Ponzi scheme and pretty much what it was going to end up as. Here in my garage, I got this Lamborghini full of money and golden bricks. But you know what I'm more proud of than my Lamborghini? Lawsuits. And this video actually went through and talked about the different things that Tai Lopez was doing with retail e-commerce ventures and how it looked kind of shady, but some things that can actually help us make money. Yes, what you're about to learn in this video from the Tai Lopez lawsuit can help you make money online. And I'm going to show you exactly how this has helped me make millions of dollars. Now again, I'm not a big Tai Lopez fan, never have been, but even a broken clock is right twice a day. And what we're going to do is look at the parts that he got right, why it actually worked in a sense, what they got wrong, and how you can learn from this and build a business to profit online. So if you're excited to learn the ins and outs of how this business works, get some big aha moments that are going to help you make money online, learn from the mistakes that Tai Lopez made so you can stay out of hot water and run an ethical business, then smash a like button and let's go to work. All right, so here we have our SEC lawsuit about the Tai Lopez retail e-commerce ventures and the companies that they bought. What we're going to do is look at this with a fine-tooth comb and look at what the idea was for retail e-commerce venture. What were they setting out to do, and why did investors believe it? Why did it seem like a good idea at the time, so much so that they were able to raise like $240 million, which is crazy. Even though the lawsuit is only saying $112 million, there was actually 240 raised. You can see my last video to understand where that comes from. Now, the idea that Tai Lopez and retail e-commerce ventures had was actually a pretty decent idea. It was to go out there and buy distressed assets or businesses, build them up online, and profit. This is something that happens all day, every day. It's a big, big industry, and we're going to talk about how this works. You're going to want to stay to the end of this video because you're going to get an aha moment that's going to help you jumpstart your business if you're looking to build a business and make money online. Now, before we get into that, let's get into the big disclaimers. While I have used what you're about to learn to make millions of dollars online throughout my 25-year career of doing this, I want you to realize that the vast majority of people trying to make money online make nothing. In fact, one of the big things that got Tai, or could allegedly get Tai, in a lot of trouble was the profit promise. He was saying, hey, you're going to get a guaranteed return, which you can't do that. You can't promise anything. That's just something that doesn't work in the investing world. And whenever that does, if anyone ever promises you a return and says this is what it's going to be, run away, because usually it is a fraud. We have to understand that. Now, what he was doing is he was saying, hey, we're going to buy all these businesses with your money and we're going to build them up and we're all going to profit together to the tune of lots of money. What he was saying was, hey, if you invest $1 million, you're going to get an annual return of $250,000 a year, and your million's still going to be intact, which is pretty much unheard of. And as we see here now, that wasn't actually the case. So we got to be careful here, and we got to understand where the disclaimers are and what's going on, because there are a lot of people on social media that sell the dream, they sell the life, and they don't have the chops to back it up, and they're not honest about how the business works. Now, Rev came out and said that we have a can't-lose strategy of buying distressed businesses, buying distressed but famous retail brands and reviving them online. Looking at this, what they said was, okay, in the SEC complaint, we could see the domains and the websites and the brands that they bought. They were buying the domain, the brand, the intellectual property, the trademark, the whole 9 yards. What they weren't buying was a bunch of Radio Shacks in malls, because those had been shut down. Same with Dress Barn and all these others. Now, some of these were like Franklin Mint and stuff like that. Now, first of all, what we want to do is we want to look at these entities. These are the ones that are included in the $112 million from investors. These are the ones they bought. From what I can understand, it was like 50, 60 million or something like that they spent on these. There were also some outside the scope. We're going to talk about those in a minute too, because one of the ones that they alluded to being a business, which I think is the more valuable of all of these, was a bodybuilding website, and that one had an online presence already. They didn't need to revive it. It was already going, and they just kind of partnered with them, which was not part of the lawsuit one, which means it wasn't wrapped up in the investor. More about that in just a minute. Now, if we were to go through and look at just the domain names alone, what is a domain worth? If I have something like money, right, what is that worth as a .com, .net, .org? What is the value? Now, we are using Dynadot to show the values because GoDaddy usually caps out at 25,000. If it's over 25, it just says 25,000 plus. So it doesn't give an accurate reading. And again, remember, these are not super accurate tools. They do show an estimate based on previous sales, but it's not like set in stone. As you're going to see here, I think these are way undervalued just on the domain alone. Because when you look at the domain alone, they're just looking at like the words, like Marcus is cool. Okay, how many domains sold with Marcus? How many sold with cool? And whatever, right? And you look at all these things and it's like, okay, we need to understand what the value is. Now, Radio Shack says it has about a $500,000 value. Pier 1 at $2,600. You have Dress Barn at $31,000. Bodybuilding.com, which is the one we talked about earlier, that one has like a $3.5 million value. More about that in just a minute. Steinmart, $150, MentorBox, $80, and on we go. The highest ones are Models and the bodybuilding. Okay, now one of my favorites here that they acquired was Franklin Mint. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute and why I think that was a good buy and why I always buy domains like this as well. Not as big as these because I don't have 112 million to throw around at domains, but I do have a couple $100, and sometimes for a couple $100 you can get a pretty good domain and build it up. Again, looking at this as it's not a guarantee, it's not anything crazy. What we're doing is we're building something up. We have to put the effort and build up. So looking at these, we want to understand what the difference is between the domain and the brand and the traffic and the power. If we were to look at something like Franklin Mint, we can see that over the last 2 years, they tanked the brand. Like they literally went from 7,200 keywords in Google and lots of traffic to like 91 keywords. All right, now what does that mean? What does traffic mean? What does SEO mean? What's the difference between branded traffic and regular traffic? Now, when we go through and we look at traffic, you're going to see something like Amazon. A lot of their top keywords are going to be related to Amazon and the brand of Amazon and different things Amazon owns. If you were to go here and look at the keywords, it'll pull up different things like Amazon Prime, Amazon Audible, and different things like that. Same kind of deal if we're looking at MyPillow, which is a brand we're going to look at and compare as well. I think that'll be a good one to look at here. And also looking at different stuff like Dress Barn. A lot of it is branded traffic where you're going to see with the keywords. Yes, the keywords they're ranking for are Dress Barn, where is Dress Barn near me, and stuff like that. Now, there are some other ones that they have, like clothing stores, dresses, women's dresses, and things like that that are really, really good. And this would be non-branded traffic where with the brand, you're buying the branded traffic. And if the brand dies down, so does the branded traffic, making it pretty much useless. Now, we're going to see the same kind of trend on MyPillow, which was a $300 million a year business that he has had some trouble with because of his outburst or whatever it was. I don't know what the guy did, but apparently, it tanked his brand. Now, again, looking at this, we want to understand exactly what's going on. When we look at Franklin Mint over here, we could see that they had 16,000 of the keywords in Google, so 16,000 rankings in Google. A lot of it was non-branded, so they'd have like coins, Walking Liberty $50, what years were Morgan dollars printed. So it's all about coin collecting, which is a very valuable market, especially because it gets into like gold and buying gold and all that kind of stuff like that, investing in silver and things like that, which is a very, very, very profitable market. Now, we could see that as of now, in I think today, we could see what kind of traffic this gets. So on Franklin Mint, that means people going to Google and searching for Franklin Mint like this, about 7,000 people a month search for that. Okay, interesting. Now, back in the day, they had a lot more keyword rankings for a lot more stuff, which got a lot more traffic than just the branded traffic, which to me is worth money. And we're going to show you how it might not always be best to buy the big brand name. Sometimes it's better to buy something that people don't know the value of, maybe that has other keywords. Like sometimes a coin business will go out of business. You can buy it and build it up to something that you want. So very important here, when we look at what Tai Lopez and Retail E-commerce Ventures bought, Franklin Mint, they tanked it. It does have some value, and it still does have value in the search engines. When you buy a domain or a business like this, you're actually getting the power behind it. And as long as you build it up for what it was, like if I build this business up, Google will recognize it again and start to pick it up. Now, if I build something silly on it, maybe I, make some other site that has nothing to do with what this was about, the coins and stuff like that, then it'll probably tank. Now, what they did on this one is they actually took away a lot of the posts, which is why it tanked. You see here, when they bought it, it had 6,000 pages in Google, and today it has 1. So like, where did the 16,000 pages go? Why would you delete those? Why wouldn't you build them back up? And you're gonna see all of these just go to this placeholder page, which is signaling to Google, yeah, this site isn't really kept up anymore. Now, going through, we wanna look at what this would be like, because if you were to build it up the way it should be, I think you can build a viable business. Would it be worth the couple of $1 million they paid for it? That's debatable. I think it could get there, but I don't think it's going to do what they said it was going to do. Again, this is about the concept, not how they implemented it. I think their implementation really struggled, and we're going to talk about why businesses do what Tai and Retail Ventures did versus what we should do as entrepreneurs on a budget and build a business. So looking at this Franklin Mint one, they tanked it. It still does get branding traffic. However, I'd put some kind of sales page on there or something like that. Let's start getting stuff in there. Now, when we look at the domain here, we could see that the monthly unique visitors is just nothing, right? To me, if I was going to buy this domain, it wouldn't be worth much at all to me other than the branding, right? The branding, yes, I could do that and sell some coins or whatever it is we're building the business up to. Again, be ethical, honest, and do good things and build it up as it's supposed to be. Now, when we look at something like the Radio Shack one, we could see that the rankings on the Radio Shack one didn't tank all that much. However, if we were to bring it up in our report here, we'll do Radio Shack, and this is using the Ahrefs keyword tool, which is a fantastic tool for checking this stuff out. Again, we could see they tanked the pages. Now, when I buy domains, we want to make sure that the structure of the site is intact. Oftentimes, if I'm not buying all of the intellectual property, I'm not getting the content, so I would need to make my own new content, which is good because I can make it better. But going through and looking at this, we can see, hey, this had 77,000 visitors a month in the electronics niche. So you could see what it ranked for. A lot of it was Radio Shack branded traffic, Radio Shack near me. But then you go down here and you'll start to see like HTML to coax. Do people even do that anymore? I don't know, you'd lose your resolution. But at any rate, where to buy capacitors, headphones, different things like that could work. However, is there enough money in that to make it happen? When you're competing against something like Amazon, there might not be, unless there's really, really solid products that we can sell that have a high profit margin and we can sell a lot. Like My Pillow, that dude sells a lot of pillows. That's all he does. He does it really good. Now, however, Drone Kit could be one that could work good. If I could rank this up for all kinds of different drone things and sell drones, there's some money there. Are you guys starting to understand how this works and how the value of this is? If you are, smash a like button and let me know as a comment below. And we could see that the traffic value on Franklin Mint, according to Ahrefs, they're saying it's like, what, 20 cents a click or something like that, $1,200 a month. This one, they're saying $15,000 a month. Now again, remember, this isn't set in stone. Obviously, my site says I'm not making much at all, but I do pretty well. So starting to look at this and understand, okay, how do these businesses work? Radio Shack is getting about 65,000 monthly visitors. Okay, how much product is that going to move? We have to understand these things. Dress Barn, we could see this one. They actually are on the upward trajectory of traffic. Even though they lost keywords, they did gain traffic. And I think the reason here, actually, I know the reason is because they built up a lot of the products. This is one of the ones that they said is losing the most money, probably because they were trying to build it up. You could see here at the peak, it had 6,100 pages, and that includes like a page with one shoe on it, right? And it's like, buy this shoe or whatever. So that would be considered a page. Anything that's separate is considered a page. So you'll see here, maybe they have a page for like Dress Barn or dresses or whatever it is. And hopefully that camera will stop zooming in so we don't have to edit this thing like crazy. But at any rate, starting to look at that, you could see the different types of dresses and things like that. So what's happening here, and I think you'll see, like if you started with Dress Barn and you were gonna build a dress selling website, this would be the biggest head start in the world if it made sense economically. If I was able to get this cheap enough, build it up, sell dresses, keep it intact the way it was, I can do pretty good. It's like buying and building a business. Very simple, happens all the time. Businesses are bought and sold, domains are bought and sold all the time. Now, looking at these, we can see Dress Barn did get some traffic, only about 27,000 a month, which in the world of online e-commerce, that's literally nothing. You got to sell a lot of dresses to those people to make it work. Now, it is branded, so the sales is going to be a little bit higher. However, not enough to justify what they're trying to do. Now, let's talk about what this is. And what is branded traffic worth? If I had something like My Pillow, let's say I wanted to sell pillows, I was able to acquire this company for a reasonable amount and build it up. All right, again, it's super risky. If you were to buy the My Pillow one, it's super expensive, super risky. I'm going to say that most people watching this video would lose money trying to build that up. However, let's look at the value of the traffic. If we were to look at this one, we could see the branded traffic is not that competition, like it's not that competitive at all. It is branded, there is a trademark, so you gotta be careful with that. However, if you were buying the asset, you would get that. You would get the rankings and everything like that. Now, Google and SpyFu, I think is where we got this, Ahrefs, is saying that the traffic is worth 5 cents a click for the word My Pillow, and it gets about 116,000 searches a month. Out of that, how many are they selling? Okay, probably like thousands of pillows a month, you know, or whatever it is, maybe even more than that. And you start to see, okay, now I get where the branding is. There's also type-in traffic, like My Pillow, a lot of TV ads, a lot of traffic going direct to the site. So those are things that you would get with this. Now, looking at Radio Shack, again, a lot less traffic. The term Radio Shack, 20 cents a click. Again, it's people probably mostly wondering what happened to Radio Shack. Here you have people probably looking to buy the pillow. Interesting, okay? Next up, we have Dress Barn. This one they're saying is worth about 25 cents a click, and on we go. Now, what does this mean? What is a Google ranking worth? If I go to Google and I look up something like Franklin Mint or Dress Barn or My Pillow or whatever it is, what is this actually worth? Well, what you have to look at is you have to look at the advertisers and where it's at. So one of the things that I do all the time, and this is where I agree with the idea of buying distressed businesses and building them up. Do I agree with what he promised his investors and how they went about it? Hell no. But is there something we can learn here? And what if we could buy these inexpensively that are going out of business and build them up like I do all the time? One of the things that I do is I look at what the ranking is worth and what I could sell. If there's a good site about working out or weight loss or something like that, and I can buy it and build it up from what it's like now, just a domain name, well, then I can build something that'll actually work. And we do this all the time. We've gotten millions of rankings on Google using this method. We've helped lots of people and built businesses from these things. Right now, I'm building a business in the outsourced video creation niche based on a domain I got for $600. It's doing fantastic. The rankings are crazy good. It's already generating traffic. It gets traffic every day, even from AI and everything like that. Now, what we have to do is we have to look at what a Google ranking is worth, because if we go out there and we rank for the word sock, okay, that might not be worth as much as mortgage. So looking at some of the highest cost per click words when we say, okay, if I was to go here and type in refinance, what are these worth? You're gonna see ads or refinance mortgage or something like that. You can see sponsored results, which are ads, and then you have free results down here. Now, oftentimes, like the Radio Shack and all of those are ranking for a lot of free results, which means they get the traffic that other people are willing to pay for, but they're getting it for nothing because of the power of the domain and the brand and everything they built up. Now, Some keywords in Google are worth a lot more. Again, this is a rule of thumb. It's just showing you the industry. It's not showing you the other stuff. So like, you're not going to go out there and get $258 a click. That's just an estimate of saying, okay, what is this worth to advertisers? So we got to take it with a grain of salt, but you can see some words are worth a lot. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, can we get domain names using a tool like Spamzilla or something else and buy these domains? Like this one right here has 36 minutes left. It has rankings and it's going for $3,700, even though GoDaddy says it's worth $2,800. Now, looking at this, we have to understand, well, why is it worth that money? Well, the rankings that it has some traffic and it has rankings. There, it's at the peak, it had 5,800 visitors a month, and this is in the house building niche. Now, a lot of these are branded, but some of these are like, different types of apartments and condos and things like that, which are expensive markets. So understanding that is why this one is going for a lot of money. Plus, it's a good domain. So there's double, triple whammy here. You got a good domain, it's sellable, it has rankings, and it's in a market that makes a lot of money. That's like the triple threat that we're looking for. Now, going through on some of these, maybe you're like, I don't have $3,700 to buy for this one or pay for this one, which I probably wouldn't either. I wouldn't want to buy this one because I can get a lot better for a lot less expensive. Like here's one for SEO tools. Here's one for BMX. This is for BMX bikes. Okay, so if I wanted to start a niche site about BMX bikes, this could actually work really well. It had traffic, it had rankings for all kinds of stuff. I can now build this up and boom, there we go. This looks like it was a BMX site for BMX bikes and different types of things like that. Really fun niche. I used to do this kind of biking when I was younger. And going through and looking at that, okay, it does have the rankings, it does have the traffic. We could build that up and make a site out of it. That would be a really, really good one to use. Now, again, going through and understanding this is key because that one there is only $105. Now it's got 4 hours to go, so it might go for like 500 or something. But again, I would think this would sell pretty good. I think it's a pretty solid one. Here's another one for LLC type stuff. Now this one, $510, it's got 25 minutes left. However, if we were to look at this one, you're gonna see, yes, this has rankings. It was a company that helped people file for incorporations and stuff like that. And if you were to look at this one, back in the day, they had a lot of traffic and they have like, how to do a registered agent, how to do a Georgia LLC, all kinds of stuff like that. If we were to go back into their history, when they had a lot of traffic, 1,600 visitors a month, business entities, how to get a business entity, how to start a corporation, all of this stuff is super, super good traffic. And if you were to look at something like SpyFu for start a corporation, SpyFu is showing us estimates of what people would pay if they were advertising on Google, which this does have advertisers on it. Now, again, it's not a guarantee or anything, but it does show you, hey, this is what they're looking at so that we can make an educated decision about buying these corporations or these businesses and building them up, domain names. This one has a $16 a click amount showing me, hey, this is an expensive market. That would probably be a good one to buy. Here's one for like angel numbers and stuff like that, which is for, like psychic type stuff or whatever it is, which surprisingly does make some good money. So looking at that is kind of interesting and kind of important. Here's one for SEO, again, very expensive. Now, the domain buying and selling business is huge. There's something to the tune of like $500,000 or more spent on domains every single day. Every day that ticks by, you're good to go. And you could see like, here's one for merchant accounts. Here's one for garage sales, and on we go. Here's an SEO one that went for $4,100. And looking at these, a lot of times they're valued just on the domain, not necessarily the rankings as well. And what we would want to do is check and see if they had rankings. Like if this merchant one had rankings, would it be worth $25,000? Yeah, probably, because merchant accounts, if I was to look on SpyFu for merchant accounts, we could do merchant account, and you could see, yes, it does actually fetch a lot of money. So this is a very, very worthwhile niche. Now, when looking at the lawsuit here and looking what they did, we have to understand exactly how this works, what they were trying to do, and was it worth it. Now, in my opinion, from what I see that they paid for the brands, in my opinion, they overpaid for them for what I would want to do. Like, I wouldn't want to pay that much for Pier 1. The rankings weren't that great. But, you know, it's saying they raised like $36 million for that one. Radio Shack, $21 million, and on we go. And a lot of this was raising money for operational costs, which is like, okay, storing all the inventory, building them up, having the people work on them, stuff like that. Looking at that, I wouldn't go that route because I don't want to start a big store. I would start small and sell them with very simple, easy stuff. Right? I'm going to go out there and say, okay, how can I start small with a domain that's like $500 or less, maybe even 100 or less. Sometimes I get them for $50 and you can build them up pretty good. Again, it has to do with thinking about like, can I take like the BMX bike one and build it up as a BMX bike review site? That would be a fantastic example. And then I can be an affiliate or even drop ship or whatever it is. This is how we build these businesses. Now, in the MyPillow example, we could see that they sold 30 million pillows and they said they were at like 300 million a year. But again, looking at the traffic, like what kind of advertising does it take to get 500,000 people a month or more to like type your name in Google to find you? A lot. And that's very valuable traffic, and those are people buying. So this one, if I was gonna start a pillow business and I was able to get this for $1 million or something like that, yeah, that might be worth it. It might make sense. But now we're looking at it and understanding, okay, well, what makes sense to buy a business and build it? Is it just the fact that we know Radio Shack existed, or is there more to it, like in the MyPillow example, because MyPillow is actually a brand that is live right now? Now, looking at these, Dress Barn, from what I could find, it looks like it was like a $1.3 million acquisition. Pier 1 was one of the higher ones. I believe that was the one that they were losing the most money on, that basically tanked this whole operation because it wasn't managed right. You could see Radio Shack, 15 million, 3.6 for Models, and on we go. And you could see, again, these are estimates from what I could find online. I fact-checked the best I could, but to me, the best investment was probably Franklin Mint. Why? Why would this be the best investment? If you think you know, in my opinion, based on what I'm doing, let me know as a comment below. And I'll tell you in just a minute, right? So with Franklin Mint, what it was a very brandable store that they sold their stuff, right? So it was like Franklin Mint in a box, much like MyPillow. That was his brand, or is his brand. That goes with it. They're going there to buy the pillows, just the pillows. Whereas if you're going to buy something like Dress Barn, there's a lot of SKUs. There's a lot of things to worry about. There's a lot of traffic. There's shipping. There's all of this stuff. Where Franklin Mint is lower number of SKUs, easier to build up, higher value traffic per click as per advertising. If it was me, that would be the one that I would have gotten and built up. Now again, $1 million is pretty steep for my pockets on something like that, but can I go out there and find something like this one, or like the BMX, or something like that that might not be as big of a brand TV huge, but still has some presence and some traffic that I could build up? When we do this, this is a super good way to build a business. Now, let's go through and talk about this. And again, I'll have all the notes at aiprofitscoop.com. What did he allegedly get wrong? One, he bought way too high, in my opinion. If I could get Franklin Mint for 100 grand, that might be something that I could use and build up, because we got to have money to float these things and make them work. Luckily for a lot of the smaller ones, there's not a whole lot, because you're not storing your own products. You're just building it up as an affiliate site, get the traffic, and then go from there. And at the end of the day, you have the asset that is the domain name, and we see those are selling every day. So in my opinion, he bought way too high. The expenses outpaced revenue by a lot. They got really top heavy, and when a business gets top heavy and the revenue's not coming in, yeah, you're going to burn through a lot of cash, which is what they did. That's why they resorted to loans, allegedly, and Ponzi scheme type stuff, allegedly, as well. Also, I think they didn't properly value the asset. They didn't take it and build it up. Had you taken Radio Shack and looked at, oh, It ranked for this one type of cord. Let's just be an Amazon affiliate for that, see if it sells, and then source it. Because I don't want to have, 900 of these cords if I'm only selling one a day. That doesn't make any sense. Also, one of the things that he got wrong, they didn't build them up. Like, they literally went through and just let the rankings die off. Like, if you look at Dress Barn here, you're going to see a lot of the pages that they have that were here. Okay, see this blue line is the pages. You're going to see, okay, this is going to go to a 404 or an error site or something like that. A lot of these will go to 404s and errors, like this one here. Sorry, we have no products here. You're wasting traffic and rankings. You might as well put some affiliate thing on there, see if it sells, and build and grow. That way you're building your asset up rather than just letting it fall by the wayside. We want to build these and properly get them going. We don't want to neglect them. And in my opinion, not having those rankings, that is neglecting your asset, and eventually it tanks like we see here. Also, one of the other things he got wrong, in my opinion, allegedly, is the investor hype versus reality. Like, when anyone tells you they're going to promise you an ROI, they can't do it. Even though I can buy these domains and I have a pretty good idea, I can do well if I do the work, nothing is guaranteed. I would never pitch them as an investment because, again, once you get into investors, now you're in a whole different realm versus, hey, I'm just building these up on my own. Another thing was using funds wrong. They were using a lot of funds allegedly from investors to fund other things, and it was just a big mess. So what are the money lessons here? Number one, don't confuse profit with earnings. When you see some guy in his garage with Lambos, or you see the people all over social media talking about how much they make every day, you got to take that with a grain of salt, because profit and revenue are two completely different things. You can have a high revenue and make zero profit or negative, as we saw here. I mean, they were making money, sure, but they weren't profitable. So don't trust flashy lifestyle influencers. It's difficult. I scroll through the Facebook and I see all these people making way more money than I can ever imagine. But you have to look at it with a grain of salt, and you have to look at how they're making that money. What would have been good, instead of Tai coming out and saying, we're going to build up these old assets, tell us how. And maybe he did on investor calls, I don't know. But tell us how you're going to do it and what that looks like practically, and show us one you actually did it with. That's key, because the bodybuilding.com, because the bodybuilding site actually did really well, has a lot of rankings, and I think it still makes money. It wasn't part of this, but I think that would have been a good one to look at. Now, also, one thing we can learn, buying distressed assets has always been one of the greatest opportunities ever. Why? Because there's people who don't know how to manage businesses properly, or domains, or websites. We can buy those at a fraction of the cost, build them up and grow. Now, it takes work, there is risk, most people make nothing, and if we understand what we're doing with the site, and that domains are a huge business, then we can build these up in a really good way. And these are on sale all day, every day. As you see here, this one's gonna go pretty soon. Here's another one, and on we go. And they're all over the place. You can buy domains all day, every day. I have videos about it. I'll put them in the description. Now, we wanna know what real value is. Is real value Radio Shack from 1990s, where people forgot about it and they just type it in, oh, hey, what happened to that? Like, if I bought Blockbuster, could it turn into something big, or did Netflix already stomp them out? And what would that be worth? Like, I don't even know if Blockbuster ranks for anything. Blockbuster, was it Blockbuster Video or just Blockbuster? So Blockbuster here, you could see they did get a lot of branded traffic for Blockbuster. A lot of people look for locations, phone numbers, things like that, but it tapers. It's all branded traffic. It's not like names of movies and stuff like that, like what Amazon did. Amazon built their business on books, because if I could rank for Catcher in the Rye and, whatever book, the dictionary or whatever it is, now I have a lot of things I can rank for, and I'm going to get that traffic because of that. And you'll see that that business model works. Ranking on Google, even in the age of AI, people think that AI is killing SEO. Well, 8 million people a minute are still searching Google. Google is still making $500 billion a year. And when we understand, oh, wait a minute, These are assets that we could build. So what we want to do is understand the real value of something and also what it's worth to me. Like, could I buy Blockbuster and build it up? No, I would go bankrupt in like 30 seconds because I can't, one, afford the name Blockbuster, and two, I don't have the infrastructure to make it work. But can I build a little site up and make money with it? Yes, I think I can, especially if I'm using the domain where I'm buying that distressed asset of someone who, for whatever reason, is selling their domain or lost their domain or whatever it is, and I can buy that, much like this one here, where it's for the house building stuff. Yeah, that could actually work really, really well. Now, again, I would check a trademark because when you buy domains at auction, you are not buying the trademark. That's the difference with what Tai did. They actually bought the trademark and the intellectual property. We're just buying a domain. So we don't want to step on trademarks and stuff like that. But I would say that 90% of the domains I buy or even look at don't have trademarks with them. They're just little blogs or businesses that at one point got traffic and we can build them back up. Very, very important. What we want to do is we want to focus on starting with something tangible that we can build up. Something in our wheelhouse. If all you can afford is $100, look for $100 domains. If you can afford a couple thousand and you know what you're looking for, look for something good based on what you can do and ask yourself this question. If I had to turn around and sell this domain, if I bought this one for $3,700, what are the odds I could sell it for $3,700 tomorrow? Well, it's in a bidding war, so there are other people who want it, which means it's valuable. Could I sell it for that? I think the odds are okay. Maybe I could get half of it back, but what am I going to look at? What is my risk when buying a domain? What am I going to build it up as? What's the reward? And how does it all make sense? We want to be very conservative here because a lot of people online selling stuff are going to come out and tell you, oh, hey, this is worth so much money. And it might not be, like those ClickFunnels guys that are like, this is a $400,000 value, but if you act now, it's only $9. Yeah, I'm going to call BS on that one. That's not how business works. However, with something like this, we are buying an actual asset, something that can sell, something that can work. Starting to understand all of this and where it fits in is absolutely key. So once we get that and we understand it, now it makes sense. Focus on something lean, build it up fast, get it where it was. Don't sit on the asset. Don't let it die out. We want to build these things and make them work. Now, with all of this stuff, we have to understand where the value is. Are people paying on Google? What is the traffic like? Is it worth something? Are we going to sell a $9 cord where we only make 9 cents at the end of the day or lose money? Or are we going to sell something like the MyPillow where there's like a built-in profit margin and something like that? Hopefully you understand how this works, how we value businesses, and what I think they got wrong in the Rev Tai Lopez issue, where it's like, okay, you're really, really relying on investors and big money rather than looking at an asset that you can build. And for the vast majority of us, I don't have $112 million to spend on this stuff, so I have to start small, look at something I can build, and domains are a fantastic way to do it. Like if I got traffic for merchant account stuff, boom, that's pretty solid. Now, always do your due diligence, do your research, make sure something makes sense before you get it, and everything can be waited on. You don't have to get it right now. Sometimes there's assets where, like this one's for sale right now. If I wanted that one, I would have to act fast on it. But for the most part, businesses are always on sale. They're always there. You can always buy distressed businesses. And I think that's the big lesson here. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button. Be smart out there. There's a lot of things to look at. Business, you got to understand business before you get started. Don't just listen to a guru and take them at face value. If it's an emotional decision, it's probably something you need to wait on. We need to look at the facts and understand what's going on and look at them properly. So check out AIProfitScoop.com for the notes and lists of different businesses and tools and reports that I brought up here. We have a whole layout of this stuff. Check out the description for more videos on how I buy domains and build them up and blogs and things like that. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next training.